Hello and welcome to a different video this week. So instead of my studio vlog, you're getting something completely different from me, something totally out of my comfort zone, but I thought it would be fun to show you my experiment. So this year for 2022 I really want to do a bullet journal properly. So I started this year, but I didn't start until actually November, so I didn't really get the full experience. It was basically to help me get used to the sort of process of bullet journaling before I started properly in 2022. So for this video I decided that I would do some experimenting with layouts, setup ideas, different things that I've seen in other bullet journals and other videos that I wanted to try to see what they looked like. So in this clip here I'm cutting up some images that I just got off a website called Unsplash. I'll list it below, but it's basically a library of images that are copyright free, so you can use them for basically anything. So I'll link that below so you can have a look at it. But yeah, so I'm just cutting out some little clips, some little January themed items to experiment with in the following clips. So I shall skip this forward a little, and then I'll jump into the second bit. So this is the bullet journal I'm using at the minute. I just got it off Amazon. I'll also link it below, but I actually wouldn't recommend it. The paper in it is pretty thin and you can see through it, so if you were doing even just using this pen that I'm showing you now, it leaked through. You could see it through to the next page. Now I was using this pen, it's just a Bic pen, but it's running out of ink at the minute, so for this I'm actually just going to be using this Zebra pen. It's a pretty basic black pen, it's nothing fancy, and I'm also using a ruler for a lot of this, and as you can see in the background I'm also using highlighters. Now for this experiment I'm actually using the back of the book, so I just wanted to get a feel for what it's going to be like setting up. So I've already done a couple of things. I've already counted out my spaces on my squares. So I had an idea of what layout I wanted for this particular spread, and I'd already counted and put little dots on the page. Otherwise this video was going to be way too long. So this is a experiment for a future log setup. So for this page I decided not to use a title because I know what it is. It's pretty self-explanatory and I felt like it didn't need a title, and I thought I would make more use of the page by not having a title and having more space underneath to write events, dates, birthdays, anything coming up for that particular month. Now I'll not show you the full setup here. Again, I'll speed ahead and jump back in a second. So I should point out at this point in the video that I'm actually doing 3 sample spreads for future logs. So I wanted to experiment with 3 different layouts for the future log to decide which one I liked best for my 2022 bullet journal. So on this future log, it's all on the same double page spread. On the last future log, the year was spread over 4 pages, whereas this one's spread over 2, so you can see the year visually at a glance all on the same page. Now the problem that I have with this layout is that you don't get a lot of room under each month to write down events, dates, birthdays, you know, whatever you have coming up that following year. So this spread, I mean, it probably would work for me for 2022. I don't have a lot of dates coming up in the following year, but I also don't know how the year is going to go. It might get busier, so I do like the idea of having more space, but I also do like the fact that it's all on the one page and you can see it visually quite quickly, the year at a glance, so to speak. So I don't know. I think I'm still undecided as to what I'm going to have my 2022 setup actually be. But yeah, I do like the simplicity of this one as well. The third one is kind of like a mix of the two. You'll see it coming up with the little Dutch door. So this is going to be the third spread for the future log setup ideas. I'm just saying words put together now randomly. So for this one, I'm creating a little Dutch door. I didn't cut it out very neatly. I wouldn't recommend doing it the way that I did it, but this is just an experiment to see what works and what doesn't work. So the idea of this is that you have the title along the top, and the little Dutch door creates the title on both pages. I seen it on another video. I thought it was a really clever idea. I thought I'd give it a try. So it's similar to the first setup for the future log in that the year is actually spread over the 4 pages. You don't have quite as much room to write your dates and events and things underneath, because for this particular spread I've decided to have the title. But it does work quite well, I think. Obviously for all of these spreads I'm just using simple boxes. I wanted to keep it as simple as I could. I feel like if I keep it simple and I do the basics, I'm more likely to keep up to date with it. I don't want to be overly creative in my bullet journal. I don't want to create extra stress and pressure on myself to make it this creative, beautiful thing. There are lots of bullet journals out there and they are absolutely stunning. And I know I'm not going to be able to create that standard because I just simply don't have the time. So I want my bullet journal to be easy to read, simple to set up, and functional for what I need it to be. And I need it to be functional. I need it for to-do lists. I need it to see the months and the years for events and dates and things that are coming up, so I don't miss them. I have a very busy mind, like I'm sure a lot of creative people do, and sometimes it can just get a little clouded up there. So for me, the bullet journal is to help defog that cloud, so to speak. It's to help me clearly visualize what I need to do, where I need to be, and things like that. So I'm keeping my bullet journal simple for that reason. I already have a busy mind. I don't need a busy bullet journal as well. So I'm keeping it simple. I shall speed ahead again and show you the final layouts for these. So these are the final spreads for the future log setup. So I decided to add some color to these pages just using some highlighters and a ruler. I actually really like this effect. I think it's really effective. It adds a lot of color to the page and it's quite clear to visualize too. So yeah, it was super simple to do. And then the next one where it's all on the same page, I wasn't so keen on this. I think it looks a little messy. But again, I just used my highlighters for these to create these sort of colored boxes. Yeah, it looks a little messy. I'm not keen on this at all. And then the final future log spread was the one with the Dutch door. I tried to keep this one as simple as possible. I've just used one color on this page. I have the title across the top, and then I've used the highlighter along the edge to create the bullet points for each month. So yeah, I quite like the future log with the Dutch door. I'm still undecided what I'm actually going to use for my 2022 setup. I don't think I'm going to use the middle one. I don't like it all on the same page. I think it's too squashed and it's too messy looking. So it'll be between the Dutch door and the other one. So this next set of setups is for the monthly spread. So I have some experience with this. As I say, I started my bullet journal this year in November, so I have experimented with a few layouts, but I wanted to try a few different ones for these. So this first one is like just little boxes spread across the page. Now I did make a slight mistake when I was counting my squares, and I have a big gap you'll see between the first page and the second page. So I'd actually, if I was going to recreate this one, I'd move the dots over so that there wasn't such a big gap. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed ahead again, and yeah, because otherwise we're going to be here all day. So yeah, I'm going to speed ahead again and I'll jump back in a sec. So this second spread that I have for the monthly setup, I actually made a mistake, and I got the day of the week that the month started on wrong. So this whole grid is completely wrong, but it's good that I did it as an experiment, because if I am going to use this setup, at least I know where I've went wrong, and it gives me a sort of visual of what it will actually look like. So for this spread, we have the month in a grid on one side, and then on the other side you could have a title page, or if you're one of those people who likes to list the year at the side, you could also do that. I don't like the list for the month, sorry. I'm a very visual person. I prefer the grid. I like to see like a little calendar or something visual to show me the dates for that month. Having a list down the side it just doesn't work for me. I don't remember things if I have them that way. So having a grid is a great way for me to see, oh, I have such and such on this date, or this is coming up, or I need to get this done. Yeah, grid just works much better for me. I do quite like this setup. You'll see it towards the end that I create a nice spread on the other side. So it's nice to have a sort of title page and then the grid all on one spread, a double page spread. So I do quite like that aspect of it. But yeah, I'll speed ahead again and we'll jump into the third one in a sec. So this is the third and final setup for the monthly spread. This one is more of a grid. Again, I've pre-counted my dots. I have used this one before in my bullet journal this year, and it's the one I've definitely liked the best. It's definitely the most visually pleasing for me, and it just works the best for me. The boxes are a good size, so you can get plenty of, well, not a lot of information, but you can get more information in them than the first two spreads. And then you also get this space along the side and along the bottom where you can add a bit more detail, or you can add some creative flair to your page. But yeah, I think this one is definitely going to work best for me, so this is probably the one I'm going to go for in my 2022 setup. So I just thought I'd show you some little clips of me sort of decorating my pages a little more. Now I know I said previously I didn't want my bullet journal to be like an overly creative place, but I do still want it to look pretty, and there are some really simple and effective ways that you can just add a little bit of design to the page, a little bit of colour, and just make it a little more interesting. So the bits that I was cutting out at the start of the video, so some of them are going to be used in this little setup. And then I've also used just some brown parcel tape just to add a little splash of colour to the page. And then I also have these, there we go, these sticky notes. Now I got these a while ago and I've never used them because I feel like they're too pretty to use as sticky notes. So I thought they might be really good to use for these. So like things like this that you have lying around the house that you don't use are great to add a little splash of colour, a little bit of detail to your bullet journal and some creative flair just to make it a wee bit more interesting. Now whether I'll be able to keep this up for the whole entire year, I don't know, but certainly for my setup I'm going to add some time to make it a little bit visually pleasing. Now I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. You know, these are really simple things, just finding some clip art, typing some words up on, you know, Microsoft, and adding a little bit of splash of colour to your page can really make a big difference and doesn't take up a lot of time. Now for this clip I don't have any glue, so I've just been using double-sided sticky tape. Now if you have glue, use it, because a lot of the corners didn't stick down for this. So I am going to have to go over it when my glue arrives. But just to give you an idea, I've just used a bit of double-sided sticky tape. So yeah, I shall fast forward again and show you the finished pages at the end. So these are my finished monthly spread designs. I've kept them simple, I've kept them basic. It didn't take me very long to add the pictures and things to them, and I've kept the third one very simple. You could add some things, you know, along the bottom, some quotes or stickers, but yeah, I've kept them simple. Hopefully you like them. Now, for the final 3 spreads, these are for the weekly spreads, and these are probably the ones that I'm going to be doing most often in my bullet journal for 2022. So I wanted to keep these, you know, pretty basic, pretty simple, not too long to set up, and just quite, again, visually pleasing, so I can see very quickly at a glance, oh, I need to do this on this day, or oh, I've got this coming up. So for this first one, it's just a very simple spread, ruling out the days of the week, and then each side of the page has a little column. So what I like to do is create a to-do list for the week, and then break that to-do list into the different days, and then on the other column I hope to add a if time allows list. I feel that works best for me, and I quite enjoy doing it that way. This second spread is more of a box spread. Now it does take a bit longer to set up, but once you've done it once or twice, it actually becomes a lot easier. So I have used this one in my bullet journal this year. I did like it. I like that each day of the week, including Saturday and Sunday, has a full box. If you're anything like me, a weekend, although I try to work less at the weekend, I still end up doing stuff at the weekend, so I like to have a full box for Saturday and Sunday. And the great thing is with this setup is you get the 8 boxes, so you have a box for each day of the week, and then you have an extra box, so you could add your to-do list, your goals, or whatever else you need in that last and final box. Now there's not a lot of room on this page to add extras, you know, if you wanted to add stickers or some creative flair to it. There's not a lot of room to do it on this page, but for what I'm using my bullet journal for, this sort of setup is actually fine for me. But it's something to consider if you are one of those people who want to put a lot of art and detail into your bullet journal is that this sort of setup doesn't give you a lot of room to do that. I shall skip ahead again and show you the results in a second. So I decided to use my sticky notes again and add a little bit of colour to the page. I tried to keep this simple. I'm not really sure about the end result, whether I actually like it or not, but you'll see that in a second. But yeah, I wanted to keep this pretty simple, pretty basic. So I just added some of these little post-it notes to it, and then I've stuck them down with my sticky tape. I did something similar to the next page, and then again I kept the third spread pretty simple and pretty basic. So again, I'll fast forward and then I will show you the results in a sec. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about this third and final spread for the weekly setup. Again, it's sort of like a box style, which I quite like, and then you have room along the top to add a title or some stickers or a quote or whatever, and then the other side I plan to do a to-do list box. So I do feel this kind of weekly spread would work for me as well. Now I did sort of write in pencil where the days of the week were going to go, and I didn't have a rubber. So this spread will look a little messy, but with a rubber it would tidy it up. So I just sort of wanted to let you know that I didn't have a rubber, so it does look a little messy in the final design. But this is just an experiment to sort of see what works and what doesn't work for me, so I'm not too bothered about it. So these are my final 3 setups for the weekly spread. They're a little messy in places, but they did give me some ideas of what I would like to do for my 2022 setup. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this little video. Something a little different from me. Hopefully it's giving you some ideas if you want to start your own bullet journal in 2022. I will be doing hopefully videoing my setup, so keep an eye out for that video coming soon. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will be doing more videos like this in the future. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye!